Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFO DFS Hockey Report. I'm your host, Brock Seguin. We got Zach Laing with us as always. Zach, this is probably the largest anyone's ever seen our faces on this show. And now we're in 1080p. The amount of comments I got yesterday about how much better the show looked. So hopefully the internet holds up for us again today. And we can bring another terrific show to the fellas.
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to move on from yesterday's slate. That was incredibly dumb. Shout out to anybody who had like a Buffalo onslaught or stacked some Buffalo and Chicago together. That worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, it was a pretty dumb slate. Some fun games to watch, but from DFS, it was not enjoyable. But let's get into tonight's 10-game slate, or 11-game slate, excuse me. I apologize for the delay. The charts had some weird errors. Like they didn't even matter for the charts. Like it was a bunch of like third pairing defensemen that the lineup API wasn't picking up the changes. So I had a bunch of guys in that weren't in, and I had to fix that. And like it was annoying because like I want to do it for accuracy's sake, but like they really have no impact on the slate. So whatever. The charts are perfect now, so let's roll. Let's get into our 11-game slate. We'll start with the goalies here. We've got Sam Ersson getting the start for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's expected to go up against Connor Hellebuck for the Jets. It's going to be Jake Allen for the New Jersey Devils, and Jacob Markstrom is out for a couple of weeks. Projected to see Daniil Tarasov in the second half of a back-to-back for the Panthers. The Columbus Blue Jackets will roll with Elvers Merzlikins up against Scott Wedgwood, who's been dynamite for the Colorado Avalanche. It's going to be Anthony Stellaris for the Toronto Maple Leafs as the New York Rangers projected to go with Igor Shesterkin. I'm sure they're going to be happy to be out of MSG, where they have yet to score a goal this season. Linus Ullmark gets the start in the second half of a back-to-back for the Ottawa Senators. Philip Grubauer makes his first start of the season. The memes and all the hilarious tweets and quote tweets on the DFO Fantasy Twitter announcement when Grubauer was announced starter, or at least expected to start, were hilarious. Jakub Dobeš starts for the Montreal Canadiens as UC Saros for the Nashville Predators. David Riddick gets the nod for the New York Islanders as they go up against the Edmonton Oilers, who, Zach, do you expect to see Stuart Skinner tonight after a shutout the other night? I would imagine so.
Yeah, I'm expecting Skinner again.
And Casey Smith gets the start for the Dallas Stars. Thatcher Demko likely to get the nod for Vancouver. Akira Schmid gets the start for the Vegas Golden Knights, who Aiden Hill was on the ice today, so maybe not as hurt as maybe first thought, but Schmid's still going to get the nod tonight. Jeremy Swayman projected to get the start for the Bruins. We could probably get confirmation on Swayman as we go. Our guy Beebs will be in the chat to let us know if there's any confirmations as we go along here. Anton Forsberg goes for the Kings. Darcy Kemper is day-to-day. Artur Silovs gets the start for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then in the nightcap, we've got the Anaheim Ducks. We'll go with Lucas Dostal, projected to see Frederik Andersen for the Hurricanes. Brandon Busey went the other night, so should be Andersen tonight. Zach, we've got the Blue Jackets and the Avs up first. Why don't you take it away for us?
Perfect. Looking at the first game of the night here, we've got the Columbus Blue Jackets paying visit to the Colorado Avalanche paying visit to the Columbus Blue Jackets, rather. Let's try that again. So the Colorado Avalanche visiting the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Colorado Avalanche are coming in as minus 152 favorites, 3.5 implied total for them here tonight. Columbus 2.8. Looking at the 5v5 lines, Colorado 1, grading out as the number one line to target on this slate tonight. They are looking really good here in this spot going up against Columbus. It feels like a really nice spot in what's going to be a high-paced game. Obviously, my lean here is towards this Colorado 1 line. I mean, I have no issue, as I typically do, jamming in the more expensive guys with high ceilings, and that's what it feels like this spot is in for Colorado tonight. This line has been great to start the year so far. Nathan McKinnon chugging along. Marty Netchas has been absolutely awesome, and starting to see that price climb up to $6,800. McKinnon obviously going to be expensive at $9K. No problem really jamming them in here. Second line, third line, probably not getting there much for the Colorado side. Columbus, I think they offer a bit of an interesting side here in this game too. These top two lines obviously have shown they can produce in the past. I'm not entirely sold on Scott Wedgwood in the crease for Colorado this season, even though he has been, more than fine up until this point with a .936 save percentage, 3 wins and 4 games played. But I like this spot for Columbus a little bit too. Like, I think I'm going to mix in a little bit of this top 6, probably nothing too crazy. Taking a look at the matchup scores here for this spot, Colorado heavily favorited in terms of the matchup scores here tonight. Colorado 1 looks like they're in a really good spot, 48% of their ice time going up against that Columbus 2 line, and Colorado 2, 59% going up against the top line. Taking a look at the line stats, once again, Colorado 1 just chugging along really well. But like these numbers here are pretty nice for this Columbus side as well in terms of the top 6. So for me, probably heavier on the Colorado 1 side, but probably going to sprinkle in a little bit of this Blue Jackets too.
I think what's so interesting about this slate is Elvis Merzlikins projects to be one of the highest owned goalies on the slate. He projects extremely well, but he's projected to be the second highest owned goalie on the slate. The projection loves him because he's projected to face 34 shots tonight. The volume is going to be insane for him. He's just $7,200. So, I think that a lot of people are going to play Merzlikins for that reason, and maybe Colorado gets, overlooked a little bit. It kind of feels like they are getting overlooked already at 6% owned. NetJazz looks phenomenal right now. Multi-point games, like I think every game this year feels like. McKinnon's been red hot. Lekkonen's under 6K. Like I really like this line tonight, and it does feel like they're going a little bit overlooked. Game number 2 for us tonight is the New Jersey Devils and the Florida Panthers. Panthers coming off a loss in Detroit last night, heading back over to New Jersey now at plus 138 road dogs. The Devils minus 153 home favorites. When we take a look at the line stack rankings here, nobody really stands out. I don't think that that's really a surprise. This game doesn't feel great from a DFS standpoint, if I'm being honest. I mean, the matchup, the pace score is the second or third lowest on the entire slate. The matchups on both sides of the puck aren't very good. When you take a look at the line stats, nobody really stands out as a line that is just firing on all cylinders right now. Florida 1, I mean, a lot of positive metrics here, but not really capitalizing, not really putting the puck in the back of the net at 5v5 right now. When you take a look at the power play report, 19th and 16th. So, I guess I drew the short straw a little bit. You got a fun game in Colorado Columbus. But this one, I honestly just don't find myself targeting it all that much. And when you take a look at the ownership, not really a whole lot of ownership coming in either. The highest owned player, or at least forward in this game, is Dawson Mercer, 5.2% ownership at $3,900. But yeah, the field not really getting here at all. The top ranked line in this game is Florida 2 at 19th. Verhaeghe, Rodriguez, Sam Reinhart is a line that they kind of went to yesterday. We'll see if that even sticks. So, yeah, we got a bagel from Sam Iskevich yesterday in a better spot than he's probably in tonight. I just don't see myself targeting this game. Before we get to game 3, do you see yourself really getting into this one at all?
Probably not a whole lot. I got bit pretty hard by the Florida Panthers last night. I was way too heavy on them. So I think I'm a little bit off of them here for the time being, at least on this slate tonight. I think there's just much more appealing spots to get to.
Yeah, the Red Wings have that effect on people. Let's get to game number 3, the Ottawa Senators and the Seattle Kraken. This game, you get all the fun games tonight. This is bullshit.
Hey, man, you're the one who let me go first. But yeah, Seattle Kraken paying visit to the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa obviously coming off the back-to-back here tonight. Tough loss for them last night. That was a very ugly game. They are heavy favorites. Well, not heavy favorites, but they're favorites here in this game. Minus 146 on the money line. 3.2 implied total for the Ottawa side. 2.7 for the Kraken. Pretty interesting game here for a number of reasons. One, it's seeing more ownership than I was kind of expecting it to. Ottawa 2 coming in as the highest owned line on the slate tonight. $12,600. They're super cheap. You can fit them in with almost anybody. Dylan Cousins, Drake Batherson, and David Perron. I'm a little surprised to see it, just to be totally honest. And same thing with Seattle 1. Like they're projected for 7% ownership as well here tonight on this slate. I think I can see it a little bit more for the Seattle 1 side, I think here. The matchup is really good for them tonight. 69 matchup score, nice, with 62% of their time on ice coming up against that Shane Pinto line. Ottawa 3 also drawing, quite a bit of ownership here tonight at like 5.5%, which is a little bit surprising for me. Taking a look at the line stats here, nothing really jumping out as great offensive lines here. Like, I think it's okay to go to this Ottawa side here tonight. I'll probably be sprinkling a little bit of all three of these lines in my 20 max, solely for the idea that I think they're going to be, wanting to come out with a big game tonight after what happened last night. So I don't mind it from that perspective. I just don't know if I'm going to get up, 8-10% ownership here. Full stacking this Ottawa 2 side. I don't know, man. I don't know if you maybe feel a little bit different here. The matchup scores or the power play scores really aren't that great for either side, even though Seattle does come in with the 6th best on the slate here. I just don't really ever think about the Seattle power play being something that I'm excited to stack around.
Yeah. This one's interesting, right? Because I was talking about Seattle the other night as being a team that's played extremely well at 5v5 so far this season, at least defensively. They still grade out with the 5th lowest expected goals against per 60 on this slate at 5v5. So it does appear like it should be a bit of a tough matchup here for Ottawa, but Montreal really had no issue scoring the other night. They did have trouble generating a lot of chances, only had like 20 shots on net. But with Philip Grubauer between the pipes, I think that's where a lot of the ownership's coming in for Ottawa. If you look at it yesterday, Levi Merrillainen just couldn't make a stop. So pour one out for anybody who played him on my recommendation last night. I'm sorry. I'll be better. But like when you look at the stats last night, I mean, Stützle, Zetterlund, Amadio, 16 Corsi 4, 2 against. They generated 11 scoring chances at 5v5. The second line, Cousins, Bathurst, and Perron drawing a lot of ownership tonight. Six scoring chances in 9 minutes. I mean, they had success. They just couldn't really stop the puck. So I do think this Ottawa team has some offensive upside with Grubauer between the pipes. And yeah, like the ownership is kind of shit, but I mean, at $13,000 for the top line and 12,600 for the second line, I'm interested. Like, I think Dylan Cousins has looked great so far this year. I think Drake Batherson at sub 5K is a great play. Like, I still lean towards Ottawa too. Yeah, are they the highest owned line on the slate? Sure, but they're not like seeing 20% ownership. It's still fairly modest, and there's a lot of other ways to get different on an 11-game slate. So with Grubauer getting the start, I do have some interest in Ottawa. Seattle, I just almost never play them. So if they burn me tonight, they burn me tonight. Montreal and Nashville's up next. I guess this isn't a boring game. This one could be fun. When you take a look at, Nashville has been pretty good coming into tonight. Again, via Sports Logic on tonight's slate, 7th highest expected goals for per 60 at 5v5 on this slate, which is pretty impressive considering, not a ton of firepower in that offense, but they've been getting the job done. I mean, got kind of behind the 8 ball against the Leafs the other night, and we're still able to pour on some offense, and just couldn't keep the puck out of their net either. Montreal 1 still grades with the 4th best line to target tonight. Cole Caulfield, I believe, if I recall what I saw earlier correctly, is the highest owned forward on the slate. Yeah, 13.5% ownership. Shot volume obviously very good with him. He is reasonably priced at $6,500. The rest of those line mates, though, just 5% ownership. I think when you take a look at the matchups for this one, it's quite good. So I do think that there's reason to get to this Montreal top line. They're going to see 52% of their ice time against Nashville 3. When you take a look at Nashville 3, does not grade out very well defensively. So I do think there's opportunity here for this Montreal top line to find some success tonight. The power play has been solid to start the season. So is the Predators PK, but mostly just the top line or bust for me for Montreal. And then on the Nashville side of things, I'm still kind of struggling to find an avenue. People keep flocking to this third line. They're seeing a lot of minutes. They're super cheap. I think they're always going to be an okay value option. And, again, the matchup here against the Nick Suzuki line is one that is not great typically. Like you'd think like Nick Suzuki is a very good two-way center. They're not giving up a lot of goals again. So I don't think that's a route I'll go. I'll probably just be like, all right, give me Nashville 1. They've stacked it up with Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Stamkos. They're not very expensive. Jakub Dobeš looked really good in his first start, but I'm going to trust the metrics here and that the Nashville Predators are going to continue to be able to generate at 5v5. The problem is their power play stinks. So I'm not going to be over the field too much on either side of the puck here. I do think both top lines are in decent spots, but it's not really, I don't really think like slate breaking spots. Do you have any differing opinions there?
No, not really. Like I mean, I think there's just again more appetizing spots to kind of go to here. I'm probably going to be staying away from this one.
Let's get to the next one. Sorry, I muted my mic.
That is totally okay. We got the Winnipeg Jets paying visit to the Philadelphia Flyers. Jets coming in minus 134 favorites here tonight. 3.1 implied total for Winnipeg, 2.7 for the Philadelphia Flyers. Winnipeg Jets coming in looking pretty decent here. Third best line overall. The target is Winnipeg 1 tonight. Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi coming in at just 4% ownership. This feels like a nice spot, I think, for the Winnipeg Jets. I'm probably going to be getting to a little bit of this top line here tonight. Pretty low ownership, good matchup score for them. They've been chugging along at a pretty good clip. The power play, again, operating at a good rate here. The matchup score is nice for this Winnipeg side of things. I mean, a 77 score for that top line. I don't mind it whatsoever. Philadelphia, I'm not sure if I'm going to get there a whole lot. We saw last year the Vancouver Canucks struggling offensively under Rick Tocchet. And it kind of feels like it's going to be a little inconsistent again here for the Philadelphia Flyers underneath him. So for me, it's pretty much just Winnipeg 1 side or bust. Winnipeg 2 is drawing a little bit of ownership here tonight as well. Solid line stats for them. Haven't really found a way to capitalize a whole ton here on average, but I think it's a decent spot to kind of go to them too. A nice little value line, $10,900. That's some pretty good salary relief for Taze Iafallo, and I don't even know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, I feel like I want to give Taves a little bit more time before I probably get to Winnipeg 2, especially just with how little ownership Winnipeg 1 is seeing tonight. And you mentioned it, like, this Flyers team not generating anything at 5v5, second worst expected goals on the slate. And you take a look at defensively, fifth worst expected goals rate on the slate. So I think this is a pretty good spot for Winnipeg 1. They're not seeing much ownership. We've talked about it before, where it's like, is it a spot where Winnipeg is high owned? You probably fade them. If it's a spot where Winnipeg 1 is low owned, you probably play them. And that feels like the case tonight. I really, you could talk me into a lot of Winnipeg this evening. And as you mentioned, power play matchup looks pretty good. Winnipeg 2 might be decent when Perfetti comes back. I can agree with that. Okay, let's get to the next one. We got Toronto and the Rangers. The Rangers can't score. So I don't know. Like, can you play them? Probably not. They physically can't score. They can't score at home though. So maybe on the road things will be a little bit different. The Maple Leafs have been pretty leaky this year. So I do think that this game has the potential to turn into a track meet. But at the same time, we just saw the Oilers, who are maybe the best offense in the league, play this team to a 2-0 game. So neither side grades out amazing. But I think I am interested in this game because I do think it has the potential to turn into a track meet. Again, the matchup scores on both sides are pretty modest. The Maple Leafs fourth worst expected goals rate on the slate. The Rangers about middle of the pack. So there is the possibility for both of these offenses to find some success at 5v5, and they've been two of the better offenses at 5v5 in the league. Like, yes, I know that sounds weird when the Rangers simply can't score, but they're out shooting teams. They're out chancing teams quite frequently. They just are snake bit. They're as snake bitten as can be. And when it comes, Panarin and Zibanejad, they're firing the puck at will. It's just they cannot find a way through. So that dam is going to break eventually. These 5v5 metrics don't look great. Obviously, without Trocheck, it's hurting this top line quite a bit. The Matthews line continues to be great, but like they didn't really have anything going the other night either. And then a couple empty net goals, and all of a sudden they were optimal. But like this game feels weird because I feel like I want to play it. I feel like I will play it, but I feel like I'm going to be left wanting more from both sides in this game. So it would probably be top line for both sides for me. The second line with Matias Maccelli, pretty good game the other night for Nylander and Tavares. I think there's reason to consider them here when you take a look at the matchups. It's a little bit better than the top line. So if you want to go that route, I'm fine with Toronto 2. Toronto 1 still just feels like the better play with Matthews and Nyes. Cowan kind of take them or leave in the same way that the rest of the field is. But for the Rangers, it does feel like it's the top line only. Like, I don't care about a Connor Sheary line with Will Cooley and JT Miller. Like Panarin, Zibanejad, Lafreniere, those are the guys generating chances right now. Those are the guys I want to play. But again, I think we're going to be left with a low-scoring one here and be disappointed. What are your thoughts really quickly on Rangers Maple Leafs?
Yeah, I think I agree with you for the most part. The one thing that is kind of interesting for the fact that the Rangers haven't scored a goal at home yet, they do have 4-0 and 6-1 wins on the road so
I
far this year.
know. It's
So,
crazy.
I think for that reason, I'm going to have a little bit of interest getting to this top line. Granted, Panarin only had 2 points in those two games on the road. It does feel like it's just a matter of time until this Rangers top line gets clicking offensively. And when they do, I definitely want to be on them. In a 20 max tonight, I'm fine with throwing, 5% at that Rangers top line and probably around the same on the Leafs top line.
Yeah, like obviously the main concern with the Rangers would just be the fact that Anthony Stolarz is a very, very good goalie. But yeah, this Rangers side on paper should be okay. Like they feel, I was just gonna say they feel due, as Javier says, they are due, and like you said, they have scored on the road. They just can't score at MSG. So, yeah, the top line is certainly intriguing tonight. Once again, I honest to God, I did not plan this. I just said you go first, and we ended up landing on you breaking down an Oilers game. So here we go. This one should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Edmonton Oilers in the midst of a 5-game road trip out east, 160 favorites on the money line tonight, 3.4 implied total for them going up against 2.7 for the New York Rangers. Edmonton top six, new look here. Connor McDavid centering Andrew Mangiapane and David Tomasek on that top line. Leon Draisaitl in between Nugent Hopkins and Jack Roslovic on the second line. Worth noting, Nugent Hopkins will be, I think he's listed as a center here tonight. Listed as a center. Draisaitl listed as a winger. So just keep that in mind when you are building your lineups. Goes without saying, I like the Edmonton Oilers here tonight. Kind of waiting for them to break out offensively here. Defensively, they have been just absolutely tremendous so far to start the season. Really doing a strong job of shutting down opposing offenses, limiting the high danger scoring chances and scoring chances in general. For that reason, I don't really have a lot of interest in playing this Islanders side of things. I think if there was maybe an argument to make for getting a little bit of Rangers, Stuart Skinner is kind of shaky, and that Rangers second line has some decent metrics. Kyle Palmieri, Matt Barzal, solid shot volume from them to start the season here. I just have a bit of a hard time seeing them breaking through with a huge offensive performance tonight. On the other side of things, this Oilers side is really intriguing to me. You are not going to find Edmonton 1 and 2 at cheaper amounts than you're getting them right now. $15,900 for each of these lines. David Tomasek, again, he's been playing up on that top power play unit, filling in for Zach Hyman. He has been absolutely tremendous there. Last Saturday, I think I mentioned it against the Canucks, he had 1.06 individual expected goals on the power play alone. He's very snake bitten right now, but he's giving tons of shot volume. 13.7 shots on goal per hour of ice time. Granted, a lot of it's kind of been in a depth role for him so far, but he's really been elevated up the lineup here in a pretty big way. Himself coming in with 11% ownership on the slate tonight. He's one of the higher owned forwards. Definitely one of the better value plays, I think, on this slate here as a whole. Mangiapane, I'm comfortable getting to a little bit of him as well. He's looked good so far to start the season, and I'll probably be mixing in a bit of this second line as well, specifically around Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Jack Roslovic, solid 5-on-5 numbers, scoring last season. That's something the Oilers are going to need from him. But again, this is just his second game of the season after missing training camp and preseason, so I don't really think he's somebody that's going to be a priority at this point in time for me.
Mangiapane played 17 and a half minutes last game after being moved up the lineup. Also has a point in every single game so far this season. I messaged you yesterday when we got the new look lines, and I can't wait to play this top line. Like I can't wait to play McDavid, Tomasek, and Evan Bouchard together. Like so, these two teams are the polar opposites right now in terms of defensive play. The Islanders, again, according to Sports Logic, the worst 5v5 team defensively on tonight's slate by a pretty considerable margin, 3.35 expected goals against per 60. The Rangers, 1.56, nearly two full goals fewer expected against per 60. And obviously that grades number one for the Oilers. And then, I showed it here for a moment, like power play, 31st ranked PK for the Islanders. Like they can't defend at 5v5. They can't kill penalties. And it's not even Sorokin getting the start tonight. And Edmonton's not even seeing a lot of ownership. Like I honestly, I just don't know how much Edmonton is going to be too much Edmonton tonight. I know, like, I don't have to question you, like, on how much you're going to play Edmonton. I know it's going to be a lot, but I just don't understand why they're so low owned. Like, I am going to be jamming them in as much as physically possible.
Yeah, I think probably the reason is that people like they just aren't scoring a lot right now. I think that's probably why. And I think there's this public, maybe a misconception around the Islanders being this like really good, stingy defensive team.
They're awful.
They're terrible. They're a
terrible.
terrible defensive team, and they have been for a long time now. So I mean, for me, like I'm fine with it if the public doesn't want to get to the Oilers here tonight. I'm gonna jam them in. Definitely ready to get hurt again here, but it just feels like such a smash spot for them, especially at the pricing.
The defensive metrics for the Islanders are so abysmal. Like there's just no way, especially with Sorokin on the bench, that the Oilers disappoint tonight. Like they're gonna smash. Yeah. I'm like, it's Brock's lock of the night. Like the Oilers, I can't wait to just, if they come in at like 10% owned, it's going to be unbelievable. I'm going to be thrilled. But let's get to Dallas and Vancouver. We are getting carried away here. This is not an Oilers podcast as much as sometimes I wish it was. Dallas 2, Dallas 1, both grayed out well. I'm just going to say it right now. I have no idea if this is what the lines are going to look like. Quite frankly, I don't think it even matters the way that Dallas has rolled their line combinations this year. Like I said, it's kind of like mini stacks, and then they just kind of rotate. Like Robertson's going to see time on the top line, and Rantanen is going to see time with Johnson and Robertson. Like that's just going to be what happens. Matt Duchene skated this morning. He's not going to play, so we have no idea what the lines are going to look like. After Duchene got hurt last game, briefly, we saw a little bit of Seguin with Johnson and Robertson. We saw Bork go down to the third line a little bit. So that's what I have projected. It could certainly still be Robertson, Johnson, Bork. It could be Blackwell down the middle with Seguin and Hirokian. So I don't know. But again, I'm focused mostly on the mini stacks of Hintz and Rantanen, Robertson, Johnson anyway. So it probably doesn't matter. The matchups here are pretty good for that top six. Not great for the Canucks, who the Canucks just aren't generating much offense at all. Again, they're going to rotate their lines again tonight in an effort to find some offense here. Drew O'Connor, Connor Garland move up. DeBrusk and Besser move down. Ratty moves up with Coots getting sent back. So they're trying to find something. This Dallas team is not good defensively at 5v5. We kind of know that. The power or the penalty kill hasn't been great either, but the power play has been terrible for Vancouver. So I just don't trust Vancouver to generate any offense tonight, and either does the public. They are seeing literally no ownership, none, zero. So I do think that maybe there is a pathway here for them to be super contrarian, because like I said, the Stars are not a good 5v5 defensive team. They just aren't. So I do think there's a pathway. Ottinger's sitting tonight. I think there's a path for the Canucks to get the job done. I would probably play DeBrusk, Hedl, and Besser would be the line that I would go to. They fully correlate in the top power play unit. Not that that matters much, but that would be the route that I go. And then obviously Dallas 1 and Dallas 2, both in pretty good spots. Robertson and Johnson, severely underpriced still, seeing a ton of ownership. Hintz and Rantanen about half the ownership. If you had to pick between the two, would you take the higher owned or the lower owned of the two Dallas lines?
Well, I don't know, man. I guess maybe the lower owned one, just to get a little bit different with Hintz and Rantanen. But I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time getting to Dallas right now. I mean, I think there's an argument there for sure. I'll probably mix them in a little bit here just because they are seeing some ownership and don't want to get left on the sidelines there. But I'm not entirely sold on it here.
Let's get to game number whatever it is. I think it's 9.
Yeah, game 9. We got the Boston Bruins paying visit to the Vegas Golden Knights. Golden Knights coming in heavy favorites, minus 224 on the money line, 3.7 implied total for the Golden Knights, 2.5 for the Boston Bruins. This one is super straightforward. I will be playing the Vegas Golden Knights and not the Boston Bruins, which is pretty much the status quo here. Taking a look at the line stacks here tonight as I quickly pull them up on my end. Vegas 2, a very interesting line here tonight. We've got Thomas Hertl centering Mitch Marner and Pavel Dorofeyev. Might as well start calling him Pavel Doroflorev once again, as we did last year, because just a great start to the season for him and the Golden Knights. And what's really interesting too, 3 games played against the Boston Bruins in his career, 4 goals. So evidently loves to score goals against everybody, and especially the Boston Bruins. For me, this second line for the Golden Knights is the one that really has me intrigued. I think they're the line that I'm probably going to be heaviest here in this game, even though they don't necessarily have the best matchup score here. Offensively, I just feel like the ceiling is very high for this line, especially when you got Mitch Marner there, who, as we all know, can dish passes with the best of them. Him setting up Dorofeyev and Hurdle here. I really like the look of this Vegas second line. Top line drawing some ownership to 6.4%. Vegas 3 seeing some ownership at 5.7%. I think I'll probably get there a little bit as well in a 20 max, but really not much. I'm pretty heavy on this Vegas 2 line, I think, tonight. As for the Boston Bruins, if you want to play the Boston Bruins, just play David Pastrnak and move on from there. $8,300. I see no reason to play anybody else here on this Bruins side.
Agreed. Power plays for this game are the Bruins' best PK in the league right now. But yeah, I really, both the top and second line for Vegas looked pretty good with the new look lines the other night. I'd imagine that continues tonight against the Bruins, the Kings, and the Penguins. The Penguins, unsurprisingly, are fairly inept when it comes to, playing defense. With Seeloff's getting the start, I don't think that it's a huge shock. This is a team that is not very good defensively. The Kings, however, are a team that have, been just kind of meh to start the season, not really generating a ton. When you take a look at the matchups, though, obviously big favorites here for the Kings. The line stats, same thing. They are the chart's darlings that, I guess the Carolina Hurricanes, the chart darlings, but the Kings are like the Hurricanes light here for the charts, and on the power play tonight, they face one of the worst PKs in the league. The Kings make a lot of sense. How you want to get there is always kind of the question, and how you want to target this team. I think Adrian Kempe is quite clearly one of the best plays on the slate, and always kind of is the best play of the Kings, but stacking that line never feels great. Kevin Fiala drawing a ton of ownership. I don't mind a Fiala Byfield mini stack. Joel Armia, I can kind of take him or leave him. The third line's got the best matchup on the night. We all know what that third line does. They generate a ton of offense. They don't always convert on all of their chances. It does feel like a night in which LA3 could be interesting at $13,100. But yeah, it's just your same old story with LA. I have interest. Where the interest lies, I'm not really sure. I pulled up the ownership earlier with Cole Caulfield being the highest owned player on the slate. Kevin Fiala is the second highest owned forward on the slate. So the public, flocking a little bit to that first and second line. Kopitar drawing some ownership, Kempe drawing some ownership, Byfield and Fiala drawing some ownership. That's the route to go when you take a look at the Los Angeles Kings. That is their top power play unit for the most part. Fiala, Kempe, Byfield, and then obviously Kuzmenko there as well in that 5-forward look. So with the Penguins struggling on the PK, a lot of the ownership flocking towards the power play, and I do think that's kind of the smartest way to target the Kings, because at least that's one time, I guess, where the offense feels somewhat concentrated, right? That's one time you can predict which 5 players might get on the score sheet. And in a good PP matchup tonight, I think that this is a good time to play the Kings. Any quick thoughts on them before we get to the final game of the night?
Yeah, I agree with you. Kevin Fiala drawing a lot of ownership here tonight. I think is one of, if not the highest owned forwards on this slate, or maybe the second highest owned behind Caulfield. I think for me, LA2 is probably the most interesting one with that mini stack you mentioned, Byfield and Fiala. On to the final game of the night here. Carolina Hurricanes continuing a West Coast road trip here. Beat up the San Jose Sharks last night. Offense was pretty spread around. We got bit by Carolina. We got bit by Carolina. I think a lot of people got bit by the Hurricanes last night as well. Minus 190 favorites on the money line tonight, 3.7 implied total, going up against the Ducks 2.7. Interesting to see Anaheim 2 absolutely popping in the 5v5 charts once again here. Second best line to target overall. I have some interest in getting there. I don't think it's going to be super heavy or anything like that. Bennett Seneke, huge price jump, $1,500, or no, actually even more, $1,700, going all the way up to $4,600, just $2,900 last night. So DraftKings finally catching on to the hot start this year.
Yeah,
for this Anaheim 2 line. Listen, at $15,900, I don't think I'm going to get there a ton, especially when you look at Edmonton 1 and Edmonton 2 being the exact same price. I think the argument you can make for Anaheim too here is, they have the highest floor, and, arguably the highest ceiling on this Duck side of things. The Hurricanes are coming off of, the second half of a back-to-back here, and they're going to be, avoiding that Jordan Staal line on that third line for the most part. So that's the argument I think you can make for Anaheim too. I'm probably not going to get there a ton, admittedly, and Carolina, as they, typically do, grade out very well here tonight as well. Carolina 1, 5th on the charts. Carolina 2, 10th on the charts. Carolina 3, 26th on the charts. I have no issue getting to this top 6 here for the Hurricanes. I'm not going to go as aggressive as I did last night on them when I got burnt, but this feels like a nice spot here, especially for that top line. Nick Ehlers still waiting to get on the scoreboard here this year, but 14.3 shots on goal per hour. He's got 11 goals and 20 points in 21 games played against the Anaheim Ducks. Maybe what he needs is this little West Coast road trip to get playing some teams that he's familiar with. Obviously, he spent his entire career with the Jets up to this year. So, pencil me in for a little bit of ownership here on this Carolina side. The one thing too, the pace score is massive for this game tonight. 103.5. I think that's one of the highest that I can recall seeing, and certainly the highest on the slate here. So I think it has the option or the ability to kind of go off offensively here. I'm just not entirely sure because, again, like we saw last night, like this Carolina offense can really get spread around super, super easy.
You must have completely blacked out last night because that game was 2 nights ago. You've said last night with the Hurricanes several times there. That was 2 days ago. So last night, you obviously just completely forgot about it. It is not the second half of a back-to-back for the Hurricanes.
Jeez.
I wanted to see how many times we could get you to do it. But yes, that was 2 nights ago. Last night was a unforgettable, or a forgettable one, I should say.
There you go.
I will say the one reason that the Ducks are going to continue, that second line are going to continue to grade out so well in the 5v5, they just don't get off the ice at 5v5. The problem is they don't seem to step on the ice on the power play because that Kreider-Carlson unit is just on fire right now. So yeah, they're going to grade out well from a 5v5 standpoint, even in a tough matchup because they're playing a ton. I don't really know if this is a great night to get to them. Like, yeah, I think the floor is really good, but we saw that they're not immune to it. Even in a really good matchup the other night, Cutter Gauthier only had 2 shots on goal. They still got on the score sheet, but I do think that this is a night, even though they grade out on the charts, I would tread lightly here. Maybe more of a late slate play. This is obviously a very difficult matchup. This is a very good Hurricanes team that doesn't give up a whole lot offensively. So on the flip side, the Hurricanes are just kind of doing what they normally do, right? Like they are a very good 5v5 team. They dominate possession. Jackson Blake might be one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. His shot volume is through the roof right now at $4,300, seeing under 7% ownership. They did flip-flop Taylor Hall and Andrei Svechnikov in their last game. Whether or not that remains to be the case tonight, we'll see. Svechnikov has done basically nothing there anyway. So I like Jackson Blake and Stankoven as a mini regardless. I like Jackson Blake one-offs. I really like getting to this top line of the Hurricanes as well. This feels like a great game. Like you said, they're going to be trading chances. At least that's the way it looks in the pace chart. But I think that maybe the majority of that pace is going to be just the Hurricanes stuffing it down the Ducks' throats. The Ducks still not a very good defensive hockey club. And even the best teams in the league have their hands full with the Hurricanes. So I just like, I am not confident in trusting the charts and saying that, Anaheim 2 is the second best line to target tonight. They just simply aren't. I think that, both Edmonton lines I would much rather play, obviously, and they grade out lower. So, and the fact that they're the same price is just insane. So I think we made it pretty clear that we like Edmonton. If I had to kind of rank it, I think Edmonton is my favorite overall, and it's honestly not particularly close. I don't think that when I look at this slate, I don't see as obvious of a spot as that. Like the rest of them, I feel like I'm trying to make a case for it, where I feel like Edmonton just makes the case for me. I think there are plenty of other good options. Like I do like Carolina. I think what's the 2 most interesting spots on the entire slate are Colorado and Winnipeg 1. Like those feel like they aren't getting enough ownership. The charts really like them. If it wasn't for Anaheim 2 playing so much, those would be the top 2 lines to target on the charts. And they're not seeing a lot of ownership. Like, Go ahead.
Absolutely. Like I was going to mention Colorado won again here too. Nathan McKinnon, 21 games played against the Blue Jackets, 26 points. Marty Netchas, 25 games, 20 points. Cale Makar has lit up the Blue Jackets in his career. 8 games played, 5 goals, and 15 points going up against them. That is ridiculous to me. I think there's enough value on this slate, especially when you consider, like Edmonton here looking like they can be a fairly solid value play, and some of these other spots that I think it's really doable to get to this Colorado 1 line tonight. I mean, they are in a smash spot here as well, just like the Edmonton Oilers are looking like they are too, right? So, like I have no issue with that here. Like you could do some fun stuff with Colorado 1 and Carolina 2, even Ottawa 2, at $12,600. If you want to get really contrarian, a Vegas 3, could be an option as well. They're super cheap at $9,300. So I think there's more than enough options here on this slate to kind of get yourself different and find a way to play this Colorado 1 line.
Before we get to the goalies and defensemen, just a couple quick questions in the chat here. Where can I find this tool on the website? So right now, the best way to find this is on this show. But if you want to join the DFO DFS Discord, I share the charts in the Discord. They are still available on the site, as I've shown previously. Under tools, you can go to line stack rankings, and they're going to look fairly similar. Like as you see here, Colorado 1 still at the top, Winnipeg 1, Carolina 1. All at the top. So they just look a little bit different than they do because the data is automated and slightly different as they don't load today. But join the DFO DFS Discord and we post them in there. The link is in the description of the video on YouTube. I see you're watching on X. So if you want, head over to YouTube, click the link, join the Discord. Got it there. Does high pace translate to a lot of goals? And if you had to play Carolina line, who would it be? Doesn't necessarily translate to high goals. What pace is in and of itself is my projected Corsi 4 for both teams added together. So it just means there's going to be a lot of shot attempts. The Ducks have some of the highest shot volume in the league right now. And Carolina obviously is a team that's always up there. So it just means there's going to be a lot of shot attempts. Usually a pretty good indicator of goals, but not always the case, right? But yeah, obviously the pace in this game is much more interesting than the Vancouver-Dallas game. As somebody pointed out in the chat, Vancouver just simply has no floor, right? They need to score because they don't come in with any floor, where Carolina is kind of the complete opposite. All right, let's get to some defensemen and goalies. Maybe get back to the chat here before we go. Defensemen, do you want to take the lead here tonight? I seem to always take the lead and then steal all the thunder.
Yeah, Matthias Ekholm grading out very, very well here tonight. Highest projected value defenseman on the slate. Makes sense given the spot that Edmonton 1 is in. He hasn't really found a way to get on the scoreboard here, but solid peripheral numbers. Always gets a couple shots and a couple blocks every game. Cale Makar mentioned him looking like he's a smash. Zach Werenski as well. A couple of these high-priced defensemen. That 5K range looks littered with a number of good options there. The dumpster dives tonight, Ben Hutton, Jordan Spence, great call on him yesterday. Had a huge game. He looks to be in a really nice spot again tonight. And Mike Riley at $2,700. Honorable mention to my boy Sam Malinsky rather. He is always doing a ton of shit every time he's on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best. Whenever I get to talk about Jordan Spence and Mike Riley in the same episode, it is a good day. As good of cheap defenseman as you can find. Mike Riley, all he does is shit. He just goes out there and shoots the puck and blocks shots. He has got the most eventful 18 minutes you'll ever see from DFS standpoint for a defenseman at $2,700. So he's going to draw some ownership tonight. Jordan Spence, same thing. If you like Ottawa 2, he fits nicely with them, pairs well in terms of 5v5 and power play correlation. I like those two as my two favorite dumpster diving options tonight. Matthew Schaefer, I mean, he's played 26 minutes in back-to-back games. If the Oilers just hem him in, a lot of shot block volume there potentially tonight. He's also projected for 4 shots on goal the way he's been shooting the puck early in the season. It's just been ridiculous with those minutes. So I think he's interesting at $5,200. I hate the Islanders as a whole tonight, but Schaefer at that price tag seems, he grades out very nicely here in the charts. Shane Gostisbehere, not seeing nearly as much ownership as he saw the other night. He continues to be red hot at just $4,500. Really like getting to the Hurricanes this evening. Anybody else that really sticks out? Let's see if there's any cheap power play 1 quarterbacks. Let's sort by price and then by power play 1. Jamie Drysdale, Ivan Provorov is not on power play 1, is he really? They must go 2 defensemen there. Layden Hudson, Shane Gostisbehere, Aaron Ekblad, Jackson Lacombe. So yeah, nobody really that cheap. Ben Hutton or Mike Riley. I'm going Mike Riley. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, going Mike Riley for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the goalies. Okay. Frederik Andersen projected to be the best goalie tonight. I really like Frederik Andersen. The shot volume for the Ducks has been great. It's not like he's $8,400. Yes, the offense has been better, but I do think that he could see 30, 28 shots tonight, only give up 1, and be a really good play this evening. I much prefer paying up for him than I do Anton Forsberg. I really like Stuart Skinner tonight as well. I'm a Skinner truther, so usually when I get excited about him, it doesn't go great, but at 8K in a good spot, I'm a little worried about the shot volume, but the shot volume looks okay here. Projected for 29 shots again. So I think Anderson and Skinner are my 2 pay up spots. I'm probably going to stay away from guys like Forsberg, DeSmith, and Schmid. Stolarz at $7,800 feels solid. Hellebuck at $7,800 feels great, just with a little bit of volume concerns there. I'm gonna give you the floor here. I've really struggled with goalies the last 2 nights, so maybe I shouldn't be the one that the people listen to here.
Yeah, I like this shut on Skinner. I'm good with playing him here tonight. Freddie Anderson, I don't mind that option as well. Lucas Dostal, I think, provides an interesting option at $7,300 tonight. He's going to see a ton of volume. There's no doubt about it. If Carolina, if it's a bit of a lower scoring game here, despite the high pace, he certainly has the ability to pop off. 4 games played against the Hurricanes in his career. He's got 2 wins, a 2.98 goals against average, and a 914 save percentage. The public's kind of getting there on him around 10%. I mean, I think I'm going to meet him there. I think Philip Grubauer, if you are wanting or willing to plug your nose and play,
oh my God, you're insane,
is an interesting option. I don't hate the idea of him tonight. And it's largely just because of his track record against the Senators. 9 games played, 5 wins, a shutout, a 2.13 goals against average, and a 930 save percentage. I'm willing to take a shot on him at $7,500 and a 20 max. I think you could do worse on this slate. Like I really do. So I don't mind getting a little contrarian here in the crease tonight.
He could be a chalkbuster, of course, but he is still Philip Grubauer. I don't know.
I know.
You're a braver man than me, but I suppose I clicked on Levi Marilainen, who gave up like 13 goals yesterday. So whatever. How much worse could it possibly be with Philip Grubauer tonight? Yak Dobish, the highest owned goalie on the slate. How do you feel about that one? I like Nashville's offense. That scares me a little.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't know about that one. Somebody in the chat on YouTube, Peter Porker, saying, "How about Swayman? Lots of shot volume." I mean, $6,900, like that's a bit of a plug your nose there. But I mean, if you need the salary relief, it's an option for sure. Like he's been solid so far this year. 28 saves per hour of ice time, 966 save percentage through 2 games. So not the worst option, but I wouldn't feel great about that one.
I mean, Vegas really hasn't generated a ton. They are kind of just below average on tonight's slate in terms of expected goals for at 5v5. So I've played way worse goalies at $6,900 than Jeremy Swayman. So I don't hate it. I really don't. I think that he is like, obviously he's a risky option, but I think that of those like really cheap guys down there, he could certainly be the best of the bunch. I think that it's possible that they could steal that game, but it doesn't seem very likely. I don't know what to make of the Bruins just yet. They've been impressive enough. I still don't know what to make. Okay, let's get to today's hat trick pick challenge. If you want to participate in today's hat trick pick challenge, all you got to do is drop your hat trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube, not the live chat. Make sure it's in the comment section. If your player scores a hat trick, we will get you a $25 gift card to Nation Gear, where you can pick up some DFO swag. So yeah, it's free to enter. Why not play? I guess I'll let you go first here. And why does he play for the Edmonton Oilers?
Connor McDavid, because he plays for the Edmonton Oilers.
All right. I will go with I'm going with David Tomasic.
Nice.
He's breaking through tonight. 2 on the power play, 1 at even strength. I'm probably going to bet it. I must pay a fortune. Give me David Tomasic. Drop your hat trick pick in the comment section of the video on YouTube. I feel like UC Saros to be contrarian against Dobish. UC has a good track record against Montreal as well. Only 74, $100. Yeah, I agree. I like UC Saros a lot. I was a big believer in UC Saros coming into this year. I thought that he was going to get back on track. Through 3 games, he has been absolutely dynamite. He has been splendid. 947 save percentage. Yeah, I'm not a huge believer in that Montreal offense outside of that top line. Maybe I'm an idiot because I played who was it 2 nights ago? Oh, Joey Decord against them, and he got lit up. So maybe I'm just a moron. Maybe Montreal is the best offense ever. And but no, I really like UC Saros. Playing a goalie against a top 1 forward is never a bad idea. No, it is not. How do you feel about UC Saros before we go, Zach?
Yeah, I'm fine with him. I'll play him on this slate for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Before we go, shout out to our friends at rotogrinders.com for providing projected ownership for today's show. If you want to join RotoGrinders Premium and take everything you learned in today's show and put it into their optimizer to build the perfect lineup, you can click the link in the description of the video on YouTube to join RotoGrinders Premium. Also in the description is a link to Action Network Premium. You get a $20% off coupon using promo code FACEOFF to join Action Network to help you place all your bets and win some big dough in addition to your DFS winnings that you're going to get from watching this show this year. And join the DFO DFS Discord. That community has really been growing early this season. It's been nice to see. We chatted there as soon as the show's over and help you make some of those tough lineup decisions. And there's lots of other smart people in addition to us. That's a really funny sentence to say, but yeah, there's lots of smart people in there besides us, I guess I should say. So yeah, join us. It's fun. And yeah, we'll see you guys back here tomorrow for a 4-game slate. First Friday show of the year. Bring beers.